All right, good morning. I think we can get started once we clear the way. Minister Champagne, Mayor Tory, Chief Laforme, members of Parliament, Mr. Vaughan, Mr. Bruson, Councillor Fletcher, community partners, Waterfront Toronto directors, our chair, Helen Burston, is here. Colleagues and friends, would like to acknowledge a couple of other people who are also here today. The chair of Create TO, Dino Chiesa, the CEO of TRCA, John McKenzie. Welcome everyone. My name is David Castern. I am the Chief Project Officer for Waterfront Toronto. I've been with Waterfront Toronto for 10 years, and in that time I've overseen the installation of a lot of infrastructure across the waterfront, everything from underground utilities, sewers and water mains to internet broadband, and all that to support the new communities that we are creating here on the waterfront. For the past 8 years, I've had the honor of leading the Portlands team, the flood protection team, including the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, Create TO, Ports Toronto, as we've completed the Portlands Acceleration Initiative, the Donmouth Naturalization Environmental Assessment, and the due diligence study that have led us to today. It's a privilege for me to welcome you here today to celebrate another significant milestone in waterfront revitalization. To date, tri-government support has helped to create 2.5 million square feet of development along the waterfront, and for that, all levels of government should be congratulated. Thank you. This development includes affordable housing, commercial spaces, aquatic habitat, waterfront promenades, bike lanes, and new transit corridors, and public parks like Sugar Beach and Corktown Common. Corktown Common, for many of you who may not know, is actually a very interesting piece of infrastructure. It's not just a park, it's also a flood protection landform. It has removed 210 hectares of the City of Toronto from the floodplain, including parts of the financial district, and has allowed us to build a new community downtown, the West Donlands. Last June, we came together here with our government partners to announce a combined investment of $1.25 billion for the next phase of flood protection. Portland's flood protection will protect another 290 hectares of waterfront from flooding. To protect parts of the Portlands, Riverside, Leslieville, and the East Harbour development site from flooding during a major storm, we'll create 2 new outlets for the Don River, restoring the river's natural mouth and surrounding wetlands. Just wanted to point out the scale of this project, and it is really hard to judge. But our new river mouth the north side of the river mouth will be the Atlas Crane. The south side of the river mouth is actually the Lafarge building. That is where the river will outlet and will travel all the way back to the Don Roadway and connect to the existing river at that point. So it is a very, very large project. We're here to mark the start of excavation of the new river, which is one of the largest infrastructure projects in North America, transit work excluded. To begin today's program, I'd like to invite Chief Stacey Laforme to the podium. Chief Laforme.
You're in luck. It's so cold out here today that I'll be very brief. Ani, Buju, Nagani, Nishnabek Stace Laforme, Disnakaz, Credit Dunjaba, Mayinga Dodam, Mississauga, Nishdave Dao. I just told you who I am, where I'm from, what my clan is, that this is a river we're now sitting in. Maybe the only time you'll ever sit in this river. So I'd like to acknowledge the Creator, the world around us, and our place within it. I'd like to acknowledge the many nations who walked this land in the past, and the many, many nations who walk this land today, and welcome you to the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe. You know, I'm honored to be here to see this work begin, even though it's begun on a desktop a long time ago, but the actual work begins. So I'm honored to be a part of that. See, my people have treaty rights here and title claims here, and we've never forsaken or forgotten that we have a responsibility to the lands, the waters, and to the people who live on our treaty lands. So I have obligations to not only the lands and waters, but to everyone here. And so we realize that to make things right, to protect the city, the people, and the environment, we all need to work together. We have to find a way to make sure that good thing happens for all of us. It's about looking after the land and the people here. So I'm going to share a poem with you. I'm going to try if my teeth don't chatter too much. And it's a poem I wrote many years ago, and it was from the perspective of my people about the land. But I really think it should be the perspective of you and everybody else who comes to this land, and that it should be included when new people say their citizenship ceremony. It's called Sacred Trust. We are the keepers of these lands. She shelters and sustains us. Long after the flesh fails the spirit, we will care for these lands. Our drums will be heard upon the wind, our voices in the rustle of the leaves. Our people have a sacred trust with the land, a trust no man may break, a trust that death cannot sever. We were here when you first stepped foot upon this land, and here we will remain long after the last step has disturbed your soil. Chimagwitch.
Thank you, Chief LaForme. I'd now like to invite Minister Champagne to the podium. Minister. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Thanks. The mayor asked me to warm up the room this morning. I think I'll have a tough job to do. Mayor always tell me, Mayor Tory, don't worry, Minister, come. It's always very warm out there. But coming from Shawinigan, I guess it's okay. It's great to be with all of you this morning. Thanks for braving this wonderful weather. But Chief, thank you for your warm words, bringing us down to earth, making sure that I always appreciate words of welcome like yours to ground us in what we're going to be doing today, which is a very important groundbreaking. Your words were putting us in the right spirit, connecting us with Mother Earth and looking ahead for future generation. And I just want to thank you for that. I am obviously delighted to be here for the groundbreaking of this billion-dollar project for the Portlands Floods Protection Project here in Toronto. This is a very important project. Together, I should say, because we're all coming together this morning, we will revitalize this great asset, and one which is the most important in North America, at the doorstep of downtown Toronto, Mayor, which will unlock significant benefits both for the community and its people and economically, and also will help to reduce the impact of climate change on our infrastructure. But before I start formally, this was just a warm-up act to get you into the spirit. I want to say thank you for welcoming us. Thank you, Chair Bernstein of the Waterfront Toronto, to be with us this morning. I saw you this morning. Here you are with your smile. Pleasure to be here today. I want to acknowledge Adam Vaughan, my colleague, Member of Parliament for Spadina, Fort York, also Parliamentary Secretary for Housing and Urban Affairs. I would say, Torontonians, you're lucky to have a voice loud as Adam, trust me, talking about urban issue and municipal issues. I like to say when both Adam and Julie DeBrusen, which is from Toronto Danforth, speaks, Ottawa listen. And you've got a good example of it this morning, Mayor, that members of Parliament who care deeply about the community, about the future, and how can we build a better Toronto together, inclusive, including social housing, including development, including water planes. We're going to do something great together this morning. All three orders of government coming together for the people. And I want to applaud both of you for the leadership you have shown throughout the time in this project. Mayor Tory, it's great to see you after the election. I think it's the first time since your election, so congratulations. I won't make you freeze too long because I want to come back, so I'll keep my remark brief. But I want to say how much leadership you have shown to Torontonians in the great city of Toronto, making sure that this project would come about and making sure we can dream big for Toronto. I often challenge people to think big and think smart, and I would say with you, Mayor, I see a bright future. And I'll be by your side, summer and winter, to make sure that we deliver for the good people of Toronto. I want to acknowledge, yes, that's going to warm us up anyway, so it's not a bad thing. I forgot my gloves, so it's not a bad thing that we can applaud from time to time. I want to say greetings to Chief and Chief LaForme for your kind words. I've already thanked you, and the CEO Nobrega of Waterfront Toronto for being with us. Thank you very much. We're here to celebrate the groundbreaking of the Portlands Flood Protection, a project which the government of Canada is investing more than $400 million for the community. This is an important project in many, many ways. This is about developing our city. This is about making sure that we build resilient infrastructure to withstand climate change. And you said it, Chief, this is building for future generation. So I want to acknowledge the land on which we are gathered today, the traditional land of the Wenda, the Anishinabeg, the Haudenosaunee, the Métis, and the Mississauga New Credit First Nation. I am very proud, as you can see, to be here in Toronto with all of you to celebrate with you the start of construction on this incredibly important project, $1 billion project we're delivering for the people of Toronto, which will flood protect the southern eastern portion of downtown that, as you know better than me, that are at risk of flooding from time to time. The creation of the new naturalized mound for the Don River will provide critical flood protection and establish new aquatic habitats to support native species of game fish, as well as functional wetlands. This project, as you all know, will remediate 70 hectares of contaminated lands and unlock about 290 hectares for social and economic development here in the city of Toronto. This winter, and I guess you would agree with me, it's already started, this winter we will see the start of excavation of the river channel that is central to this project. A project which I understand we could fill the Rogers Center if we were to excavate and bring all the land that we're going to bring there. So this is more than 1.4 million cubic meter. This is phenomenal what we're doing here today. And I want to take the moment, I know it's cold, but to thank the workers who are going to do the great work. They're the ones who build that, and I want to applaud them. I see them in the back. Usually you guys should be in the front. You're doing the real hard work for that. The parkland will transform this beautiful community surrounded by new parks and green space for future residential and commercial development. And I think it's very important to say, and you said it before, including affordable housing. We want to provide a community where everyone will be welcome, everyone will be enjoying the land, and that there will be land and spaces for affordable housing so that everyone in Toronto, every Torontonian who can benefit from seeing this great development today. This is going to change the face of Toronto for the better and for the future. The government is making this unprecedented investment in infrastructure from coast to coast to coast, and these investments are helping to build better communities. We understand, Mayor, both of us, that infrastructure is the backbone of our community. Canadians want 21st century infrastructure that are modern, resilient, and green, because we know in Toronto that with modern infrastructure, that's the best way to attract talent. That's the best way to attract investments. And that's the better way to build more integrated communities, better communities. And that's what we're delivering for Toronto and across Canada. So we're going to continue to invest in public infrastructure with the mayor and our colleagues from the municipal government. We're going to continue to invest in green infrastructure to provide better living for Canadians. We're going to continue to invest in social infrastructure. And we're going to continue to invest in trade and transportation. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on, as you could see the passion, but I see in your face that you're really wanting to hear from Mayor Tory. So I'll leave it there and I say thank you again. Thank you for this great project. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Minister Champagne, and thank you for the opportunity to clap. I'd like to introduce the Mayor of the City of Toronto, Mayor John Tory, to the stage. Mr. Mayor.
Oh, there we go. Well, what a setup that was, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And I am delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to be here with all the people that have been mentioned, but they're worthy of being mentioned again. Our two federal colleagues, besides the Minister, Adam Vaughan and Julie DeBrusen, who are good partners for the City of Toronto on a number of fronts, including housing and the waterfront. My colleague and City Councillor, Paula Fletcher, who is a champion for the waterfront. And she's a fierce defender of the waterfront too. And I think in that respect, she does her job both ways, which is to preserve and protect what we have here, but also to make sure we build it for the future. And all the people from Waterfront and from Create TO, from TRCA, and from Ellis Don, and as was acknowledged by the Minister, all the people who are going to do the work. You know, I was very proud this morning, as I'm sure Torontonians were, to hear that National Geographic had identified Toronto as one of the 7 best cities in the world to take a vacation. And this comes on top of many other lists on which Toronto ranks so highly, but you can never sit back and rest on your laurels. And one of the reasons, I'm sure, though it wasn't identified in the article, they mentioned food and they mentioned Kensington Market and so on, but I think the waterfront, as it has evolved positively over the last number of years, if you think back to what it was in the 1970s and what it is today, that's got to be one of the reasons why people say this is a great place to come and have a holiday. And of course, I look at that and say, well, that's very important, not just because it produces jobs and tourism, infrastructure is supported, but because when people come here and see the city, they want to come and live here. They want to come and work here. They want to come and invest here. And that's going to be important, of course, and that leads to the need to have neighborhoods, places to work, places to live, places to play that are to accommodate new people. And this is where a lot of that is going to happen. And Chief Laforme, I thought the poem you were going to recite this morning was the one you read 2 nights ago at the opening of a wonderful thing, the launch pad for, which is kind of an incubator for artists on the waterfront. And it would have been a bit longer, but nonetheless worth listening to. And I hope that maybe we'll circulate it because it talks about how we have done some damage to the land, and the mention of the fact that so much of the work that's going to be done here is decontamination is something that I think is worthy of note in the sense that we're now fixing mistakes that we made in the past and hopefully not to be repeated. This construction is going to be completed in 2023, and I think the really important thing about it is that, first of all, it's actually happening. One of the frustrations, and it's frustrating for us in public life too, the public are frustrated by it, but so are we, because we do have to take care to make sure we approve these things and design them properly. And then, of course, there's the question of getting them funded, which has been done in this case by all 3 governments equally, sharing in more than $1 billion of investment that's going to be made here. But nonetheless, these projects take a long time. They're big and they're complicated. But this one is happening. We got it started together. We're working on it together. You've heard the numbers as to the investment that's involved. There's huge numbers, I think 30,000 jobs, 30,000 people who will live and work and play in this area, not to mention the important improvements to our natural infrastructure. You're going to have a new shoreline, a new river valley, parks, and they're going to facilitate not only flood protection, but also the new neighborhoods and the new places to work that we have. 5,000 truckloads of locally sourced clean fill has been added so far to create the foundation for the park, a huge new park. It's a park that's going to be 12 acres, comparable in size to 6 Cherry Beach sports fields, for example, or 3 HTO parks. So this is a big new park that's going to be available to the people who already live in Toronto and those who will come. And the mouth of the Don is a very important thing, not just because of the flood protection, but because it is something that is a natural path. It restores the natural path for the river to flow into the lake, and I think that's going to be a good thing as well, that we can sort of take something that might have been viewed as progress when it was done some time ago, and not only provide protection against flooding, but do something that's going to take the naturalized river mouth back and create a renewed ecological system, as you've heard, for aquatic habitat, for wetlands, and so forth. We are only able to do this, and this is the message that I will leave in conclusion because I know it is cold today. We're only able to do this because we have and we continue to work together. I believe the people we all serve, federally, provincially, and municipally, are their happiest when they see us working together to actually get things done. They don't like, the conflicts and the arguments, and they understand that those are going to happen from time to time. There are going to be differences, but they want to see us do things together. La construction d'un grand secteur riverain ne peut être réalisée qu'ensemble, et je tiens à remercier les 2 autres gouvernements pour le partenariat que nous réunit ici aujourd'hui. I want to say thank you to the other 2 governments, the provincial government and the federal government. We're in this together as equal partners, and that's a good thing. And we're working well together on it. We need to make sure that we continue that. We will not get the results if we don't continue to work together. And that is certainly something I'm going to be very focused on, is making sure that that partnership stays strong and that it stays one that we're really committed to, all 3 of us, because I think that has been a great part of the success to date. So again, thank you very much to all of those involved in getting us to today. We've got a lot more to do, obviously, over a lot longer period of time. There will be other things to commemorate as we go forward, but this is a major step forward today on this work that next time we come here will be very actively underway. Imagine digging out a new river path, something that's a huge job, it's a big job, but it's an important job and a good job for what I believe to be the greatest city in the greatest country in the world. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mayor Tory. I'd now like to invite the Chair of Waterfront Toronto's Board of Directors, Helen Burston, to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you. It's hard to be the last person. I assure you, I am the last speaker on a chilly morning, but a very warm welcome to all of you, and a very warm thanks to all of our partners here on the waterfront, and particularly in this huge and important venture, the Portland's revitalization. I want to emphasize that this is revitalization that Waterfront Toronto has been charged with, not redevelopment. It's an important distinction. We don't simply develop real estate. Our ambitions for the waterfront also include social, economic, and environmental goals. And we work with all of you, and we're grateful for the partnership that you've shown us and your participation here today to do a lot of the exciting things that we're doing here to create jobs, reduce urban sprawl, develop complete communities that include affordable housing, expand public transit, and create parks and public spaces that connect people to the lakefront. We've had exciting progress already. We've seen the stormwater treatment facility be developed, and that doubles as an art installation at Sherbourne Common. And in the hundreds of units, we've seen the affordable housing we've delivered in the West Donlands and East Bayfront. We've seen the Bentway and Underpass Park be developed, those neglected spaces that have now become hubs of activity. And as has been mentioned, we had the Waterfront Innovation Center, where we're bringing new industries and jobs to the waterfront, and also the launch pad, which the mayor referred to before. Okay, so all of these things are important, but this one is really the game changer. There's no other North American city that has a stretch of underused or unused land this close to downtown. And unlocking the full potential of the Portlands is a challenge, and it's an enormous opportunity, and an exciting one too. So how do I cut to the chase? I just want to make a couple of points, and then we'll get warm and we'll have the photo op that we've been waiting for. But this infrastructure that we're developing alongside this is also important. In total, this project is expected to generate $1.9 billion in government revenue, almost 62,000 full-time years of employment, and $5.1 billion in value to the Canadian economy. That's a lot of value, and we're creating it together, and that partnership is vital, and so is this transformation. So what you're seeing is not a vision of the future. You're seeing it happening now. It's here on the waterfront, and thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you, Helen. The Minister and Mayor will now take questions on the Portlands project to begin with. So.
Where do we start? Where do we start? Who wants to be called? Where do we start? Any question before you're there?
I'll just ask the one recent thing on the Portlands would be the sale of the generating station by the provincial government for power generation. Does that affect any of these plans? I understand the work was part of the overall Portlands redevelopment.
You want to take that?
Well, it shouldn't, but I guess I can't say for sure that it won't, just because the whole transaction has been, done in a bit of a cloudy manner. And I'm not happy about that. I've indicated that previously. I think the city and the partners in Waterfront Toronto should have been consulted, because it has always been contemplated that in some way or other the Hearn generating station would be part of this overall precinct. And I think if you go all the way back, how this whole thing has been handled is something that has got far too much mystery associated with it. And I hope maybe that, in the not too distant future, there'll be some clarity brought to that, and that there'll be an absolute commitment on the part of the owner, if that's the way it's going to be, to work with us, because, it is a very special building that has heritage classification, I believe, and that should be forming very much a part of what we do going forward. So right now I can just say that I'm sort of in the dark as much as many other people are as to what the plans are for the future, or what plans the owner, if they're now actually the owner, may have to participate and partner with us. But I certainly hope they will, and I would expect they would. Today's announcement? I would just say to you that it's all part of a puzzle, in the sense that this is one particular project that is happening, that is very necessary to ensure the overall development of the Portlands, but that what's going on at Quayside in particular is something that is being dealt with separately, but it's part of the same challenge that we have, which is to redevelop, in this case in a very innovative way, through the partnership with Google Sidewalk, a waterfront we can all be proud of, and to do that in a way that is protective of the public interest and respectful of the public interest. And that's what the Waterfront Corporation and Sidewalk are working very hard to codify right now. Well, first of all, it's a council appointment, and I would just say to you that that we will proceed forward with the different appointments that are recommended to the council in the coming weeks, and I would see no reason though why he couldn't continue with his responsibilities there if that's what is recommended and that's what's accepted by the council.
Do you regret endorsing him and doing the robocall for defense crimes? What you do is under investigation, and then he was charged.
I've said that I'm not going to comment on something that's before the courts, but I will say this to you, that we should be very careful to ask me about whether I regret anything for someone who has been charged, as people are from time to time, but under our system, they're presumed innocent of having done anything wrong until found otherwise. And so I would just say that I don't have any regrets for somebody who's worked hard for the community and hard for his community, and as of this moment has been charged with something, an offense that has to do with filing paperwork that may be incomplete or late or some such thing, and so no, I'm not going to say that I do. I would just say, first of all, that there's work being done by the city principally, which involves hundreds of millions of dollars in order to make sure that one kind of contamination of the inner harbor that happens during storms is rectified over time, and that is the separation of the sewer system and making sure there's adequate capacity to take account of some of the bigger storms we have now, so that it's not so that we don't pollute the inner harbor with sewage, as it were. But the other part that I think you may be referring to, and I think we have work to do on this, all of us together, whether it's Ports Toronto, the City of Toronto, and others, and it doesn't have directly to do with this project, is cleaning up some of the debris that ends up in the waterfront. I've seen those pictures. I've seen it with my own eyes when I go to some of the slips where we want people to walk along the waterfront. We want them to be right next to the lake. We want them to be taking small boats out into the harbor. It's part of the joy of having summer in a city that's on the water. And that's the whole idea of reforming the waterfront. So I think we have more work to do there, and I think certainly some of what we've seen this past summer, where the waterfront, the harbor was not what it should be, is perhaps an invitation for us to do better next summer. And we are already investing hundreds of millions of dollars in cleaning up the other part of keeping the harbor and the water better, which is the separation of the sewer systems. I don't think you can argue with success. I mean, the people who ride on it indicate that their ride along King Street every day is much faster. The reliability of the King Street streetcar has improved by, I think, 50%. The ridership is hugely increased to the point now where what we're having to address ourselves to is capacity issues. And so I think for a very modest investment, this thing has been, by any measure, a success. We have some work to do to continue to support the businesses that are in the area as they adjust to a different kind of transit corridor, but one that is very necessary. And so the City Council will review a report in the new year that will have all this data in it, and it'll be carefully analyzed, and we'll see if there's any changes to be made. But I certainly think by any measure that you can see so far, this has been a successful pilot project, and one that we should take great heart from.
Here the staff recommendations are out on how the 25-member Toronto Council can operate, overseeing everything that happens with absolutely politicians. What's your reaction to the recommendations?
I just got the report last night, but I think the staff have done a very good job in recommending ways in which you can take all the same responsibilities with everything from licensing and standards to housing to planning to you name it, and have fewer elected officials now addressing exactly the same responsibilities. So that means we're going to have fewer committees. We're going to have more work, I think, to be done, therefore, by the people who are on those committees. But by and large, I think they've done a very thoughtful job putting some recommendations forward, which, of course, will now be considered by the City Council next week.
On the issue of city staffing for staffing your council members, do you agree that there needs to be
I will just say this, the number of people being served, which is close to 3 million in the City of Toronto, has not changed. They're still out there, and they still need customer service, constituency service. There are now fewer people to serve them. And so I think those people will need to have at least the same amount of help that will allow them to provide the same amount of service, if not better, to people who live in the City of Toronto. And so I think that there are some options presented in the paper for the members of council to consider as to how they receive their staff resources. I just know that the service requirements have not gone down, and that therefore we need to have proper resources in place to make sure we can all serve people properly in the City of Toronto. Last question, and then we'll have to move along. Yes. You know, some people ask me why I made a statement on the night of the very sad news coming forward about the closure of the General Motors plant in Oshawa, and I said because no matter what no matter how you look at it, Toronto is very much involved and affected by what happens to workers and people, businesses in the GTA, and for that matter in the rest of Canada. This is the economic engine of the country, and there are plants here that feed General Motors. There are banks here and lawyers and all accountants and all kinds of other people who serve General Motors. And so I want to be a partner in making sure we do what I think we have to do, and that is this. I think for the moment I'm not going to be able to say to you any specific things we will do for workers that as yet we're not aware are affected in Toronto directly, but we will do everything we can as a city, working with our partners in the other governments and the unions and businesses to make sure that those workers receive whatever kinds of assistance or transitional assistance they need. But I think at the moment what is more important for me to say as the Mayor of Toronto is this. I think that all the governments, provincial, federal, municipal governments plural, the unions and the companies should be sitting down together and saying that we have very smart, accomplished, innovative workers. That is one of the most innovative auto plants in North America. And I think that we should be sort of taking a very careful look at what we might be able to do with those smart, accomplished, experienced people and those facilities. If General Motors doesn't want to be there, maybe there's other things we can do. And I think that there's an obligation on the part of all of us to pursue that and to see what it is we can do. And there may not be anything, but I sure think we have to make a try, and that's something that I'm very much happy to be a part of and wanting to be a part of. Thank you very much.
Thank you.